From AgriPoint, I'm James Kotecki, and this is the Point Cloud on location at the AIM for Climate Summit in Washington, D.C. And joining me is Jamie Adams, Senior Advisor at USDA, and really one of the leads, the U.S. lead, one of the main people who's responsible for organizing and putting all of this together here at the AIM for Climate Summit. So welcome, thank you, great job on the event.
Thank you so much, James.
Can you maybe first kind of describe to folks just physically what's going on here? We're on multiple floors of a hotel, a conference center. What are people actually experiencing here?
Yeah, absolutely, James. So we have the entire JW Marriott. It's a beautiful facility, and we really appreciate them hosting us here. We have all the floors throughout the venue. We have multiple breakout sessions happening on our ground floor, as well as plenary sessions, and really an interactive exhibit hall. Those exhibits have to engage two or more of the human senses, and they're really cutting-edge demonstrations of what's possible in climate smart ag and food systems innovation. We also have tours. There were a bunch of tours that were departing throughout the 3-day summit from here. Wanted to really get all of these participants who are traveling in from all over the world out to see agriculture firsthand and to see some of these practices in implementation.
And who have we brought together today and for the last 3 days here at the AIM for Climate Summit?
Well, it's super exciting. We have over 500 partners in AIM for Climate, and we really have gathered all of our government partners, innovation sprint partners, and knowledge partners. This is an event for the partners and by the partners. So in order to get in the door at AIM for Climate Summit, you had to be a partner. And so this is really meant for them to build those relationships, to meet new people, and increase the energy on the road to COP28.
And just going through these basic repertorial questions, why are we here? What is the purpose of this event and AIM for Climate more broadly?
Well, James, as part of the leadership of AIM for Climate, the United States and the United Arab Emirates committed to a high-level event every year. And our Emirati colleagues hosted the first AIM for Climate Ministerial last February in Dubai on the margins of Expo 2020. And it was at that event, Secretary Vilsack said, we're going to host next year. And we decided to go beyond just the ministerial. So the ministerial would just be the gathering of our government partners. And we saw an opportunity with the growth of the initiative. We really wanted to integrate that public-private footprint as well as foundations and the civil society and all the elements across our partnership. So we opened up the idea of having this AIM for Climate Summit. Again, all partners are here joining us in Washington, D.C.
And there's really even a more macro theme here, which is centering the idea of agriculture in the conversation around climate.
Absolutely.
And historically, maybe that has been more marginalized or hasn't been as much part of the conversation. The last few years, we've seen this pick up. And this AIM for Climate Summit seems to really mark a moment when people are really saying, yes, this is going to be centered as part of that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, James. And so we're really excited because, as you mentioned, in the past, the conversation around climate action has been centered on the energy sector. And this is a huge opportunity to raise the profile of food and agriculture. Often, and most importantly, agriculture is a contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. The sector recognizes that and is doing a lot of amazing work to fix that situation. But also, we can't forget that we have to keep in mind food security is really important. And so making sure that we're integrating that balance between mitigation and adaptation, and agriculture has a role to play in the solution. And being able, as one of the main sectors, to sequester carbon is a critical opportunity.
Do you have those numbers off the top of your head? People have been saying them a lot. It seems like something between a quarter and a third of emissions come from agriculture.
And I mean, I'd refer back to Secretary Kerry's remarks this morning. It's been a long 3 days. You probably don't want me citing numbers at this point.
But what's interesting is, I think, what another interesting comment that was made this morning from your boss, Secretary Vilsack of the USDA, that he believes ag will actually get to net zero before any other industry. So there's a big challenge coming out of ag, and it's a big part of the problem, but it also potentially a great part of the solution.
Yeah, well, farmers and ranchers, fishers and foresters depend on the land that they utilize, and it is a resource. It's part of their operations. And so they have been stewards of the land for a really long time. They've been up for the challenge of feeding our growing global population for so many years. They're equally up to the challenge of ensuring that those natural resources stay in place for centuries to come so that they can continue to produce the food that the world needs.
So on the basis of this event and all the work that AIM for Climate has been and will continue to do, how does COP28 look from your perspective? How is it different because of all of this work?
Well, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. And I always tell everyone, when we launched AIM for Climate with the United Arab Emirates as our host, we had no idea that they were the incoming COP28 presidency. We didn't have a magic 8 ball telling us, hey, this is a huge opportunity. It is very fortuitous that now partnering with them as the incoming COP28 presidency to create a moment, and of course having Her Excellency Mary Malmaheri at the helm at the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, and our great partner with Secretary Vilsack, It's a huge opportunity, a pivotal moment on the road to COP28 here at the summit to energize the conversation. 500 partners are now really excited about this opportunity that's ahead at COP28 to profile food and agriculture.
Then can you maybe speak just a bit more to what the UAE means as far as ag innovation? Obviously a desert, people think of the United States, they think of an agricultural behemoth. People might not think of that necessarily from the UAE, but a lot of interesting ag innovation coming out of that country.
Yeah, absolutely. They see themselves as the future hub of agricultural innovation and generating those opportunities, of course, as a more desert environment. They're up against a lot of challenges. They import the majority of their food for their country. And so as far as food security goes in that sense, they want to make sure that there are innovative opportunities for them to produce more, reduce that greenhouse gas footprint. Controlled environment agriculture is a huge opportunity. Vertical agriculture, there's a lot of innovation, making sure that they're using water the most efficiently in that country are key focus of her and her leadership.
Final thoughts as we come to a close here at the Aim for Climate Summit after 3 really productive days.
I tell you, it has been exciting, energizing. I have had so many conversations when people start talking about what are those outputs and the outcomes of big events like this, a lot of it is anecdotal through the conversations, hearing the buzz. Sometimes we had some loud rooms that we had to quiet down so we could hear speakers. But as I said on the stage, it is just a huge opportunity, and we want those conversations happening, and we know they're happening. Everyone we talk to, I always ask, have you found it worthwhile being here? And they always say yes, absolutely. There is still a hunger for in-person meetings coming out of COVID, and this has just been a huge opportunity. A lot of these relationships are new, and another criteria to come in the door, you had to be here and in person. We're not, with the exception of the president this morning, we're not live streaming in, we're not pre-recording. We told everyone as we were setting up the structure, everything we did here was intentional. And so also not having pre-recorded speakers, not live streaming in, because sure, you can make that presentation, you can also make it online, but being here in person, having those conversations over coffee breaks, going out to dinner, that is where the magic happens and those relationships really come to fruition.
It's pretty hard to solve climate change in a 90-minute Zoom call.
Yes, it is. I mean, it helps reduce your greenhouse gas footprint. I do a lot of my work virtually, but having these moments where everybody is coming together and the timing is right. We're in May, we have quite a bit of time until COP28 in November, so it's a huge opportunity in this next window. We issued that call to action at the end of the last plenary session asking Aim for Climate partners reach out to us by May 31st if they are interested in engaging and shaping what Aim for Climate looks like at COP28, and we hope and we're excited to hear from partners on that road as well.
Well, Jamie Adams of the USDA, maybe we'll catch back up with you at COP28 and continue this conversation.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, and again, congratulations on a great event.
Thank you so much, James.
And thank you so much for watching. We are here at the Aim for Climate Summit in Washington, D.C. From AgriPoint, I'm James Kotecki, and this is The Point Cloud.